Hello everyone, my name is Asmaa. I'm going to, in this short presentation, talk to you about nutrition and how it can be one of your allies in your child's health and growth. I will be focusing mainly on children from age 0 to 2, and there will be another video that will discuss ages 2 and above. So I'm going to talk about eating developmental patterns. So what are the specific steps that your baby is going to go through? Breastfeeding benefits, milk feeding issues and risks, what to pay attention to and be careful about when feeding your baby with formula or breast milk in a bottle. Introduction to food, when and how do you know your baby's ready to eat food, what to feed, how much to feed, and so on. So starting with eating developmental patterns, the first period is called the nursing period. So from birth to 4 to 6 months, your child can benefit from breastfeeding alone or infant formula if you don't breastfeed. There is no need to add food or anything else. The second period is the transitional period. So from 6 months to about 10 months, your baby continues to obtain high milk intake, but slowly introduces soft and semi-solid foods. During the third and last period, your baby eats modified adult types of food. So they sit at the table with the rest of the family and consumes about the same type of food. Breastfeeding. Why is breastfeeding recommended? Well, the first reason is that you don't have to worry about your baby getting all the nutrients they need. Breast milk is produced for the sole purpose of nourishing your baby, and it has the best nutritional profile. It's bacteriologically safe and always fresh. Some other benefits are that it may help with proper jaw and tooth development. It can reduce infections, improve immunity. It's associated with a low risk of allergy. It can help decrease incidence of respiratory diseases, type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And last but not least, the skin-to-skin contact releases a hormone that promotes bonding between the mother and her baby. So how much milk does your baby need? Well, there are no set rules. It's very dependent on your baby's appetite and mood. You want to learn your baby's way of communicating with you that they're hungry. It can be that their fist is moving to their mouth, they're becoming more active or alert, their head is turning to look for breast, there's an opening and closing of their mouth. And try to look for these hunger cues before your baby starts actually crying. But on average, it's about 8 or more feedings per day. And you can also tell if your baby is getting enough milk and is well hydrated by examining your baby's urine. After 1 week, there can be up to 6 wet diapers with clear and odorless urine. Some important aspect to keep when feeding your baby is, well, first, the inappropriate milk alternatives. So if you don't give soy, almond, rice, or oat beverages, cow or other animal milks, other non-milk drinks, juice or coffee or anything else, these are all inappropriate for infants. And actually, if you cannot breastfeed or if you choose not to breastfeed, then infant formula is the only suitable substitute. When preparing your formula, you also want to pay attention to the specific guidelines mentioned on the formula packaging. You want to avoid over or under diluting your formula, your milk. You want to make sure that it's the right consistency, that they're getting the right amount of calories, and that they're not just filling up on water. Another thing is using a microwave to heat milk is not recommended because it leads to an uneven heat distribution and it creates hot spots, meaning that some milk can be warm and some can be very hot. So instead of that, you can place it under running warm water and then try to place a few drops on the back of your hand to see if it's at the right temperature. You also don't want to leave your baby sleep with the bottle of milk. Milk is made of lactose. It's a form of sugar, so it leads to tooth decay and nursing bottle syndrome. A last point I want to mention is where to store infant formula. So unopened bags can be stored in a cool and dry environment. If already prepared, use it within 2 hours or put it in the fridge for up to 24 hours. After feeding, you want to throw whatever is left in the bottle because there's a chance it came in contact with baby saliva, and the mixture of both can lead to bacteria growth. I mentioned earlier an approximate time of 4 to 6 months before introducing food to your baby, but when exactly do you know that your baby is ready to do so? Well, there are a few cues that can guide you through this process. And the first sign is that your baby is able to support themselves. They can control their head, they have developed teeth and their ability to swallow. Your baby has almost doubled in weight and consumes about a liter of formula or breast milk and is still hungry. Why is this important? Because, well, the first scenario, if food is introduced too early, then there is a risk of developing morbidities and allergies. There is a risk of choking, if the baby doesn't have the developed ability to swallow, and undernutrition, because then they would be missing out on key nutrients found in milk. If, on the other hand, food is introduced too late, then there is a possibility of decreased growth and undernutrition since milk is no longer sufficient to meet alone the increasing needs of your baby. So there can also be a risk of decreased immune protection. This here is a proposed timeline of where your infant should be at through the months in terms of their eating behaviors. So by 4 to 6 months, breastfeeding stops being the only source of nutrition. You want to add some iron-rich foods. You want to avoid carrots, collards, beets, turnips, and so on because of their high nitrite content before 4 to 5 months. Okay, so if by 6 months you should be fine, but before that, to try and avoid these high nitrite containing vegetables. By 6 to 8 months, breastfeeding continues at about 600 to 800 ml. You continue the iron-rich food. You can also slowly add vegetables, strained meat, beans, egg yolks, fruits, no juice, just no juice before 1 year old. Because it can lead to tooth decay, it can reduce appetite, it can replace nutritious food, but fruits definitely. You can add palmar food, so the food that your baby can grasp with their palms. By 9 to 12 months, breastfeeding continues. You keep the fortified food, but now you can play with textures, so you can give them fruit pieces or well-cooked mashed or chopped table food. You can add finger foods. So these are foods that your baby can grasp with fingers. You could give a little bit of juice or animal milk, but whole fat. If you're going to give them animal milk, give them whole fat because it needs to be consistent. Otherwise, your baby will fill up and won't get as many calories and nutrients. And again, no more than about 3/4 per liter. Like don't go over that because it will replace other nutritious food. You have to remember that your baby's stomach is very small, and so you want to be very efficient in terms of the food that you're giving in terms of energy it provides the baby. It's also better to give your baby unsweetened and unsalted food. It's better to that they don't get used to the taste of food with salt or sugar because it'll be difficult to get used to their taste without them. By 2-year-old, your baby has acquired a sense of taste and acceptance of different food. It's essential for your baby to build healthy habits, and it's important to not force your child to eat or finish clean their plate. Your child will learn when they're full versus when they're hungry, and when to eat and when to stop eating. So like I said, by 2-year-old, the first 2 years basically are critical for your infant to develop habits that will lead to the promotion of healthy eating patterns in the future. So watch our next video if you want for some general nutrition recommendations that can help your baby. I hope this short presentation was of benefit to you and that you learned something from it. Thank you for listening.